is the Jocko Underground Podcast. I'm sitting here with Echo Charles once again. Seem to be sitting with you on a fairly regular basis, which can be a little bit annoying, but it's all good.
Challenging. Yeah, sure. I understand.
So I was look, every day for me, I'm thinking through things. And one thing I was thinking about the other day, I got into some situations, started handling some things, and I realized how much I relied and how much I see good leaders rely on being balanced, on not getting themselves into extreme situations or into attitudes where they're handling things in an extreme manner. Now, this is obviously nothing new. In fact, it's so nothing new that when I was on Tim Ferriss's podcast the first time, which I had never been interviewed before, and he asked me what makes a good leader, and I said, number one, humility. I said, number two, someone that is balanced. So, again, the past week, I've been in some scenarios either with clients and seeing how they're handling things, or myself and having to get through some situations. And I realize that I'm not getting tripped up, like a good thing. I'm being complimentary to myself. Same thing, I'm being complimentary to some other leaders that I work with. They don't get tripped up. They don't get sucked into problems. And that is because they are balanced. So it's fresh in my mind because I would say it's not something that haven't been reminding people about enough. That's what I'm feeling. I haven't been reminding people enough about, listen, being balanced is usually the best way to handle things, right? It's usually the best way to handle things. For some reason, human beings have a tendency to not do that. Yeah. For some reason, human beings have a tendency to pick a direction and go 1,000% in that direction. In fact, I had a name for this. When I was in the SEAL teams and I was putting guys through some training, and I would give them an adjustment. I'd be like, hey, you need to do a little bit more of this. Guess what they would do? 9,000,000% in that direction. Yeah. And I would call it, or I'd say, hey, you need to be a little less aggressive or a little more aggressive. And then they would do another iteration and they would go so hard the opposite way. And I'd say, hey, you guys just did, this is the term, I'd say, classic team guy overcorrection. Yeah. Meaning you say, hey, you got to be a little more aggressive. They go out there and just get nuts. Yeah. Or you say, hey, you need to check yourself. Then they don't move. Yeah. You would see this all the time. So why am I talking about this? When you get confronted, and that's a strong word, but when you get confronted with a new idea or an opposing idea, we as human beings have a tendency to have an extreme reaction to this new idea, an extreme reaction to this opposing idea. And it's not good. It's not good. It's not good to get emotional. It's not good to take the extreme opposite stance. We're doing this all the time, by the way, in America right now. You have an opinion, I have an opinion. I maybe don't agree with all of your opinions, so I take the hardest possible stance against your opinion. And I fully dig in on my opinion. It causes problems. So when somebody does present you with a new idea or an opposing idea, instead of check yourself. And a good way to check yourself is be humble. Another way is like, okay, what is it that I like about Echo Charles's idea? He's presenting an idea I've not really heard it before, or it's different. It's very different from what I want to do. Instead of thinking, how can I immediately smash his idea over the head with a baseball bat? I think, what part of Echo's ideas are good? What part of his, it's kind of different than mine. Okay, what part of it can I agree with? Where can I accept some of his ideas? When I go on the attack to you, if I say, well, actually, your idea is not going to work because of this. Right. My attack is going to cause your defenses to go up. It's going to cause you to get more aggressive and hostile with your idea, and it's going to separate us from being able to come to some kind of a conclusion. Come to some kind of a resolution. I shouldn't say conclusion. For you and I to be able to agree on something. And it stems from the fact that I am not thinking in a balanced way. So, what are the good attributes for a leader or a human being to have? Be humble. Yes, absolutely. And being humble will allow you, hopefully, to find some balance in your interactions with other people and find balance inside your own brain housing group.
Yeah. So my wife used to like help her friends, family. You know how how some people they're so into helping other people or taking care of things for other people. Like, if you're going to, I don't know, you're going to go on a trip or something, she'll jump in with all the hotel recommendations. She'll even be like, hey, I'll call. Yeah. This is how she used to be.
Right.
And she'll be like, I'll even call the hotel. I know a guy there or something. And then she'll like go out of her way to do a bunch of stuff. Okay. So what would start happening is she basically takes all on her own, takes on a task for someone else, a bunch of tasks. And then those tasks slowly become stressful. And then she's like in this stressful mode, starts getting mad. And then on top of it, later on, the person, like, not only did they not ask for the help, it's like they come off as less appreciative than by her standard, Yeah. She runs that risk.
Yeah. And she's got a grudge, I'm guessing. This guy, I don't mean to throw anything on Sarah Charles, but like I'm thinking that maybe with that whole scenario that you just talked about, like when you do something to help somebody and it turns out to be a much bigger task, if I'm like, hey, Echo, can you come? And I remember we used to train with this guy as a black belt, Craig, freaking old school black belt from Fabio Santos. And he was an arborist. Do you know what that is?
Something having to do with trees.
Yeah, he used to do tree stuff. And one day I go, hey bro, like I got this tree in my yard. Can you come help me get it out? And he's like, how big is it? And I like held up my hands. I don't know, like maybe like 3 inches around or whatever. Maybe 4 or 5 inches around, right? And he goes, yeah, cool. Let me know when to come by. So I sent him a text or whatever we did back then, called him. Sure. He comes by and like the tree was way bigger and way more, and whatever kind of like root system it had, as soon as he saw it, I saw a look in his face. And he was, he was going to do a bro deal, right? Yeah. And he did a bro deal for me, but I could see that it hurt. And both of us were out there with pickaxes at the end, freaking digging the root system out. It was a serious day's labor. He thought he was going to come over with a chainsaw, cut it down, whatever, pop, rip some roots out, be gone in 20 minutes. He's there for 4 hours. I like he was Sarah Charles at that point. Yeah. And he's a freaking awesome guy, so there was no factor. Yeah. But that can build. So how does this tie into balance?
Okay, so talk about the overcorrection essentially. So what you do is what would happen with her is it wasn't an incident, it was how she was. That's how she is. And I know a lot of people like that, where they like sometimes they insert themselves too much into your thing, and they mean well, but it's part of their personality. But there's many side effects.
That expression stings, doesn't it?
A little bit.
Means well. Oh, that one stings.
But doing that to that degree anyway will there is some drawbacks for the other person and yourself, for everybody. So you shouldn't do that to that much of a degree, right? Nonetheless, she would do that from time to time, pretty often too. So it got to the point where I see it happening the whole time. I'm like, it's a lose situation where you're going to help, you're going to be stressful for doing it, for taking on the responsibility. And then they're not going to be appreciative in your mind because not only do they not know, they didn't ask for it. And then you're going to be mad at them now. Something you did, So every once in a while, I got to kind of break it to her a little bit, But every time I would, she'd be like, fine, I just won't help anybody.
Yeah, that's...
And I'm like, what? That's your classic team guy overcorrection right there.
Classic team guy overcorrection.
Yeah, no.
Although that's like a conscious sort of emotional reaction.
Yes, emotional, yeah.
The classic team guy overcorrection might be a little bit of that, but it's also, I'm too far right, go hard left.
Yeah.
Or too far left, go hard right. That's what we need to watch out for. And this is one of those things where, you were talking to me about, you were like, you get to see me in a lot of different situations where I'm interacting with people, and you get to see me sometimes where people are kind of bringing it or coming at me or whatever, and just through Echelon Front, you see me doing interviews, you see me get interviews, you go through tons and tons of video of me doing whatever, and you were talking to me about seeing me get flustered or seeing me get trapped or seeing me get, seeing me get got.
Yeah.
And you were saying like, hey, I don't really see a lot of you getting emotional. I don't see a lot of you getting got. I don't see a lot of you getting caught and flustered when something's happening. And part of that reason is because of this idea that we're talking about of being balanced. So when someone says something that's meant to off balance me, I know that it's going to be very easy. If I feel off balance, it's very easy for me to overcorrect in the other direction. And so this is really the meat of what I wanted to bring up today, is that point that when someone comes at you and you overcorrect, it doesn't help solve the problem. Yeah. And it doesn't make you come across in a good way. Yeah. It doesn't help you solve the problem. It doesn't come across in a good way. And so it's a problem. So when you get pushed off balance, which is going to happen, somebody's going to ask a question, somebody's going to say something to you, somebody's going to put you on the spot, it's real easy to overcorrect. So instead of overcorrecting, just take a step, just regain your balance a little bit and put yourself right back in the middle. They pushed you off to the right, come right. Don't go far left, just go to the back to the middle. You don't need to, by the way, I might think if Echo comes at me with, I don't even like your plan, it may seem like in order to achieve balance, that what I need to do, you pushed me off to the right, I need to push you back to the left in order to maintain my balance, but it's not true. If you say, I don't like your plan. If you say that to me and I say, you couldn't come up with a better plan in a million years. Now it should be like you said something negative, I'm saying something negative, now we're balanced, but it's not true. It's not true. What I should do when you push me off balance of, I don't like your plan, what I should do is I should say, oh, you got some feedback? What is it that you don't like about it? And I'm right there. I'm right in the middle. I'm right where I should be. And you know who's off balance now? You. You're now off balance. But you don't have to push me back. You realize that you're off balance, so you try and center yourself up, and that's how we can reach a resolution. So keep that in mind. This is a very important thing that will help you in so many aspects of your life. When you get pushed off balance, don't overcorrect. Go back to center. With that, what do we got? Some Q&A activities.
Yes, sir. First question. Jocko, I'm on the path.
That is a little excerpt of what we are doing on the Jocko Underground podcast. So if you want to continue to listen, go to jockounderground.com and subscribe. And we're doing this to mitigate our reliance on external platforms so we are not subject to their control. And we're doing it so we can give you more control, more interaction, more direct connections, better communications with us, strengthen this legion of troopers that are in the game with us. So thank you. It's jockounderground.com. It costs $8.18 a month. And if you can't afford to support us, we can still support you. Just email assistance@jockounderground.com and we'll get you taken care of. Until then, we will see you mobilized underground.